Well, there were two issues at stake for me with the casting. One is, one of the intriguing things about the story is it's a generational story. Wilberforce and William Pitt were both very young when they started this endeavour of taking on the slave trade. They were both under 30. Pitt was Prime Minister at 24, and I think, that's incredibly unusual. And I thought might make the film more interesting and commercial, that you could see a generational battle here, the young ones taking the old ones on, a sort of Camelot story like the Kennedys. And secondly, the second issue is I wanted it to be a British cast because it was a British film, a great period of heroism in British history, so let the Brits make it. There was a British screenwriter, I was British, we decided to make it in Britain, so let's have British actors. One of the people that we really liked, intellectually, as someone who could play Wilberforce, was Ioan Gruffudd. And he wanted to do it, and we talked about it. He did some tests for me, and everybody was aboard. Well, it was Walden's idea because one of their companies, one of the people that works for their company, handles some of Yusu's work. And they came to me with that idea, and I thought, do you think he'd do it? And I thought, this could be a brilliant idea because, it's a very, very complicated role because he doesn't have much to do in the film, yet the film is about him. So you want a character who has a real presence, who casts a shadow of the film over the film without ever being in the film all the time. Anyway, he agreed to meet. He came to see me in London, and it was a little bit scary because his English was quite poor. But we thought, sod it, let's give it a try and let's hire a top-class dialogue coach and work with him. But what so impressed me was that he did have an incredible presence, a credible dignity, and that was, in a sense, more important than being able to handle complicated dialogue scenes, whatever. You just, every time he's on the screen, you look at him, and so I felt that he had that kind of richness that was going to make him more than just a cipher, that was going to give him a real presence in the film. I had a certain vision for the piece that I wanted to make it accessible to a modern audience. I didn't want to make it look like a regular period film. I didn't want to look like a chocolate box. I didn't want to make it objective. I didn't want to take people outside it. I wanted the audience to feel they were in the middle of it. So I've shot it like a contemporary film, but also it has to look a bit like a contemporary film. We have to honor the period. And one of the reasons that I was grateful for, but was sort of thrust upon me, was that we had to shoot it in the winter here. That was the only time we could get it ready for when Walden wanted it, by the time we'd mounted it. But it stopped it having a very kind of pastoral, sunny, gorgeous look. I shot a lot in rain, I shot a lot in dull, bad weather, a lot in wind, and it gives it a kind of grittiness and graininess because the whole purpose of making the film, in a sense, is to do a story about how heroic politics can be. And I've always wanted to do that, but it's impossible to do it in a contemporary setting because politics is so discredited. If you say you're going to make a film about politicians, everybody kind of rolls their eyes. But if you can make a film about politicians, put it in a period and make it about something that no one could argue with was a great and wonderful thing, then maybe you've got a chance to do something heroic about that subject and to show people that politics can be important.
Well, my name's Ioan Gruffudd, and I play the part of William Wilberforce. William Wilberforce is the main character of this story. It's a story of his life and how we went about abolishing the slave trade. Well, what drew me to this film was the story and the incredible script, and also the opportunity to work with an amazing director in Michael Apted. And it's very rare that you get those three combinations of those three elements coming together like that. So from the moment I read it, I knew I could play this character and knew I could bring a lot to this part. And I knew that we would be guided by Michael Apted very skillfully throughout telling the story. Well, like many of us, I'm sure I was sort of naive to Wilberforce's achievement in Parliament. So I had to read up on his background and discovered that he was an extraordinary man and accompanied by extraordinary people who were fighting for this cause against the whole nation being against them, and the whole world, in fact. I would sort of liken what they did to try to compare it to, I suppose, trying to take away the defence budget, or for a country like Britain or America, or to ban oil or something like that. So it was extraordinary what they achieved.
Well, I'm playing a character called Barbara Spooner, who I hope it's not giving too much of the plot away to say becomes Barbara Wilberforce. Yeah, she's the love interest, if you like, and she, hopefully the relationship that they have is perceived as being an initiating factor for Wilberforce's, dedication to the campaign. I think there's always something really appealing to people about the concept of a relationship being the motivating factor for achieving good. And that's what this relationship is. You know, here is a man absolutely dedicated to achieving something of huge worth and a great act of good in the face of massive opposition, and really only being able to achieve it through meeting someone so young as she is in the story, and so full of faith and possibility, that he draws on her sense of faith and in order to achieve what he set out to achieve. And I think that's very appealing to people, the idea that relationships can achieve a positive outcome, can, make the world a better place.
The script and the part. It's a wonderful story, and it already had quite a good cast attached to it when I read it, so it already was looking quite good. And I think it's really well constructed, and it's about a fantastic story, a fantastic true story. And the character I loved, because he was kind of a bit of an oddball, as you might be able to gather. And a real life force in his way, They've got so much energy and not predictable and not obvious. And, a great worker for the power of good, but a bit prickly and tricky in his own way, like a lot of people who are great humanitarians. He's not that good with individuals. And the director, who was a lovely man to work with, I discovered, but he's got a great track record, and he had a great energy when I met him. So everything about it. Nothing at all. And that's one of the pleasures of doing something like this, is it gives you, being someone who's naturally very lazy and kind of leaning towards the truant at school, have suddenly, through acting, discovered a love of learning, within limits, to actually get a job like this and start off on the internet, obviously, which everyone can now, but, getting books and studying up. And you've got to be careful with your histories, because history is opinion, no matter how it's presented. As they say, it's written by the winners, and you can read different stories of Clarkson, just like any other characters, where they're presented in totally different lights. So you have to judge that against the script, which might not seem to tally with either of the histories you've read, and somewhere in between you've got to come up with a character as you see it. But no, as soon as I knew there was a possibility of playing the part, I quickly, studied up.
It's a man called John Newton, who, way before the movie starts, was a sea captain. He went to sea when he was a young man, became a captain and got involved in the slave trade. And when he was about 45 or so, he had a crisis of conscience and left the slave trade and went into the church. And then when he was, and remained in the church from then on, and wrote many hymns, 200 odd hymns, including Amazing Grace. Well, these are the robes of the church of the day, the formal dress of the day in church, because in this I attend the Houses of Parliament to hear Wilberforce win his great victory when the anti-slavery legislation was passed. So that's why I'm formally dressed. And also this is the formal churchman's wig of the day.
I play Lord Fox, and I don't look like Lord Fox at the moment because as the character I wear a great big powdered wig, because that was the fashion in those days. So it's up here and it's all white and powdered, and I'm a member of Parliament, a member of the British aristocracy, and I'm against the abolition of slavery, I think, to begin with, and I gradually come round. I get convinced by Wilberforce. He's a nice young man, and I back him in the end. I don't know, it's like, I think being an actor, when I started being an actor, is like a feeling you have inside, wanting to act. I don't know where it comes from. It comes from not being content with who you are, or living in a fantasy, but I wanted to be an actor since I was a teenager, and it's like a driving force. I don't make it sound more than it is. It's like a young person who decides they want to be a doctor, and they have a drive to do that. That sounds a bit high-flown, but there's a similar sort of feeling, I guess, a need to act.
Tráiler. Visita mi canal.
You doing all right? Rock solid. All right. We could go in a bit.
I know you were so starved of bliss.
What was so urgent?
Did I say it was urgent?
Lauren, are you expecting someone else? What was so urgent?
Did I say it was urgent? Look! Here we are in the middle of discussing the abolition of the slave trade, and there's my husband with William Wilberforce himself, the most committed abolitionist in England. And, of course, the most unmarried.
Comfortable with that. It's very helpful of you. Saved the day.
Not the set. The obvious.
Okay, stand by everyone, here we go. We're shooting, stand by.
Charlie, take two.
Quiet. Then set and background action.
Action.
I'll never forgive.
I'll never forgive her. However, Mr. Wilberforce, if we had met in other circumstances, I would have told you how deeply I admire your tireless efforts to force our ridiculous knowledge of the wallets of the slave trade. Thank you. Okay, let's go everyone, straight away.
Shakespeare had it before.
Cut. Very good.
Background action.
Okay, did you know I love 1, 2, 3, 4. I love no roast but no fun toast as we lay by the fire. A little bread do instead to feed up our desire. No frost, no snow, no wind, no cold, and silence, everybody won't. We stuff our skins so full within of jolly good ale and out. Silence! Stuff our skins so full within of jolly good.
Sound like a chorus of bloody tomcats. Now, let me introduce you to someone who does it properly.
I would like to dedicate this song to my honourable friend, His Grace the Duke of Clarence. It was written by my old preacher. He was captain of a slave ship for 20 years. He repented his sins, and he wrote this song. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
That was great. That was great.
Start to flood it out then, mate.
Hizo tráiler. Visita mi canal.
truck. Okay, Gage Good, you're on the track. You're looking this way.
Sometimes we get source material. And action!
Our defeat in the House today was not unexpected. But it was our intention to flush out the opposition and discover how many people in the House would support us.
Well, we certainly found out who our friends are. All 16 of them.
Sir William, what brings you to this gathering?
I recently took passage from Sierra Leone aboard a slave ship. And what I saw during those 15 days. But I believe there are plenty of others in the House of Commons who share your feelings, Wilberforce. They're just afraid to show it.
Shame on them.
No shame. No shame. If I were the representative of a port city, how could I tell those whom I represent that I'm voting to end their livelihood?
Things and stuff.
Gentlemen, please.
All right, that's very good.